Some of you know how much I love that topic of magnetic communications and how magical it is in every way, because magnetic communication doesn't only come through words, but it really comes through your energy, your radiance. And what happens when people are communicating is that it's not just their conscious mind that communicates, but it's their subconscious mind that really speaks volumes. Yeah, so the way we express ourselves gives a lot of signals to another person, and just like you also can be perceiving a lot of signals and reading through the lines, reading beyond the words. So this is just how powerful that is. So the components that we have in magnetic communications are actually, they do reflect our whole methodology, and communications kind of is, as I said, it's the fruits. So when we clean out the roots and we build the confidence, then we explore our feminine, we expand our feminine and magic, and also feminine magnetism, then communications will come in very naturally. But like this mirror game is something, it's a mechanism for us to see where we are at. Okay, with that, what are we really projecting? It's very important to be projecting certain things, because that when we're projecting magnetic energy, we will be attracting right people and repelling wrong people right away. And what that means is that we're not going to be wasting time on those wrong people. Okay, and so it's very, very important. So the components are as follows. First of all, the deserving mind. And the deserving mind, yeah, and I can ask you what that is, right? Again, and you can put it into the chat. What does it mean to communicate from the place of your deserving mind? Yeah, so let's put it into the chat. Deserving mind. So here I am with my deserving mind. Yeah. And deserving mind, of course, also means that I'm not going to be wasting my time, with the wrong person. And I'm not also going to be tolerating an experience which makes me feel small, makes me feel uncomfortable, which makes me feel unloved, criticized, judged, compared to others. Yeah. Deserving mind, I'm lovable and valuable. Feminine, exactly. Sovereign, meaning I am the final authority on me. Absolutely worthy. I'm worthy of love. Yeah, all of that. Excellent. Yeah, let's put that in, because when you're typing this out and it's coming from you, you're also learning and bringing it into deeper space. I'm the prize, I'm the queen. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when we communicate from deserving mind, we definitely are ready to love the sobering, interesting, sobering queen. Today, you're gonna have some very fun practice in a few moments. You're gonna be shocked. I promise you. There's gonna be something very unusual. All right. So from deserving mind means that I know who I am. I know what I want. Yeah, I know I have the vision of my beautiful relationship. I honor and value my feelings. And I can, and the frame is mine. All right, so let's talk about that for a second. What does it mean to communicate from your own frame? This is a very important and big subject. And I like to give an example of a guy who came to ask for a big investment to a very serious investment firm. And he brought his folder with him, and they made him wait. They made him wait for a long time. So what's happening there? They are putting him into their frame, immediately making him feel smaller as he's sitting there, right? Waiting. Oh my God, he doesn't know how long he's going to be waiting. And so then he comes in with his folder to show his project. Yeah, and there are several serious guys there, and they are leading the conversation. They're dominating the conversation, kind of like making him feel like, prove it to us, show us. Why should we invest in you? Okay, so it's kind of like in a date, it's a similar situation. Like, why should I invest my time, my life in you, in your vision, in what you represent? And so this guy, what he did, and I got this example actually from this incredible book, which is called Start with a No, which is written by a master negotiator who negotiated for gigantic corporations. And so that guy, what he did, he was sitting there and answering questions, and then they said, show us what's in your folder. And you know what he did? He said, I will show it to you when it is time. Okay. So in that space, the only possession that he had was this folder, right? Because he was at their office. They dominated everything except for his folder. And when he said, I'll show you when it is time, he put his frame, right? His boundary, his frame on the negotiation. And that's how he actually got the investment. But being in your frame means not being hypnotized by ideas of another person of how things should be. I'll give you another example. So I have this one client starting with me, and she went on a date with a guy who wanted to kiss her very early on. Familiar situation, right? Familiar situation. He wants something and she's not ready for it. Now, just to share my view on kissing, I feel that kissing is one of the most intimate acts. It's not a mundane act. And when we exchange our breath, we also exchange our spirit. And as we exchange our spirit, this is so intimate that it can only happen and should be only happening when you already have a certain emotional intimacy with the person, feeling safe, feeling that you're not just going to be like kissing this person and then you're never going to hear from him again. That should not be happening. So this woman, according to our rules, said that she's not going to do this, that it's too early. And you know what he said to her? You're making a big mistake. All right, big mistake. You're doing it all wrong. And many guys will try to do that, right? Many guys. And she was a little bit scared because based on the previous behavior, and she was with a narcissist for many years, she immediately felt, oh, maybe he's right? Maybe I am doing something wrong. What did I do wrong? Okay, so here it's very important to see and understand that she did something wrong in his world. All right, in his world. What do we know about his world? We don't know anything about his world. Maybe in his world, his goal is to charm as many women as possible and kiss them immediately, right? And therefore, it's wrong in his world. Is it wrong in her world? No, right? So this way, by not being hypnotized by the views of another person of what you should be or should not be doing, is coming from that deserving mind, holding your frame, holding your world. And this is why it's also so important to have the whole magnetic woman methodology and community behind you, because you're not alone anymore. And you're just like, in our world, we don't kiss a random guy. This is what's happening in our world. Yes, so like we have this standing behind us. The second one that we'll be looking at is leading from the feminine. So let's put into the chat, what does it mean to be leading with the feminine? And remember that feminine has that spectrum, right, of angelic feminine, nurturing feminine, soft feminine, and also we have this feminine magnetism, where we are actually coming from the place of playfulness and spontaneity and a little bit of maybe taking a risk, and a place of where we are whirling our skirt, right? So what does it mean to come from that place to, soft, carefree, amazing, flow? Yeah, absolutely. Carefree is very beautiful. It's light. And, two things can come together, light and deep. When you're light and deep, that is really incredible. That's very, very attractive. Emotions, saying with your emotions, what you're feeling. So not saying things like, I think all the time, but also saying, oh, it feels like, I feel this way. This is how it feels, right? Yeah, laid back and observant, amazing. So observant meaning also receptive, right? Like okay, so not observant in a way like I'm analyzing you, that's a bit of a masculine way, but more observant from the space of perceiving, receiving, perceiving, open. Yes, exactly. Leaning back, listening to, again, that is perceiving, receiving, grounded. Absolutely. What does grounded mean? Okay, this is huge. Okay, let's talk about it for a second. This is very important to understand this. So with the development of digital media, a lot of people are communicating through digital media, right? What is digital media? What is this communication through something? So the analog signal analog photograph that you used to take, you know, with a camera, if you zoom into this photograph, you will be zooming in forever. When you have a digital photograph, you're going to start zooming in, and then it's going to start pixelating, right? There are going to be pixels and you can't zoom in anymore. What is it? It is about taking the mystery away. The mystery is penetrated when we infinitely can zoom into something and still not grasp it. That's the mystery. Okay. So digital communication is approximation of the truth. It's approximation of the meaning. It's approximation of everything. Okay. So when the whole world for the last 15, 20 years started communicating through digital means, especially now that there's Instagram, which became even less, you know, meaningful, and then TikTok, which is just like on crack, right? What's happening is that a lot of people are not grounded. A lot of people are tripping their own mind trip, and that they are in their own flight. They are in their own kind of like network and net of ideas. And grounding is specifically about coming back to the ground. And that is a very feminine thing, coming back to the ground through the reality of senses, through food, through sensations, through your smell. We're losing, as humanity, we're losing those things a little bit, right? We're losing our memory. Now machines remember things for us. We're losing certain ability to be plugged into the actual suchness and thusness of things. And that's when the gift of the feminine comes in, that grounded space, right? So how does it translate into certain behaviors on a date? Let's look at that. So a guy might start talking a mile a minute about something very abstract, very heady. Yeah. And what usually happens is that he's going to be sucking your energy that way, sucking you into his own trip, right? Sucking him into his own blah, 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 blah. And it happened to many, many people. Okay, many people. And here he is in his like worries, anxieties, mind games, mind ideas. Now, being in the feminine means like also grounding him into here and now, grounding into the reality of this experience. Sometimes just putting your hand on his hand is just like looking and breathing with him is going to bring him back into the body, bringing him back on earth. That is grounding. All right. So that's just how important it is. Great. Okay, beloved. So that like being the mystery, being the, so the feminine is the matrix in a good way. The feminine is connection to nature, to the senses, right? Now, feminine magnetism. Feminine magnetism is what? Yeah, let's bring it. Yeah, you don't have to put your hand on a stranger's hand. That's, you know, that's not the suggestion. The suggestion is like when you're with someone who is tripping out, you know, into their own fantasy land, and you're going to feel it because that tripping out into the fantasy land of their own ideas doesn't feel nurturing usually. Okay. And also it doesn't create intimate connection. So bringing someone through the groundedness into the intimate connection of the heart, into breathing together, into slowing down, into the reality of the moment through different means is a very feminine thing to do. All right. So yeah, feminine magnetism. Let's look at that. So when we speak from the place of feminine magnetism, we speak from the place of playfulness and spontaneity, right? So please put into the chat, what does it mean to you from what you've learned so far? How to speak from the place where you recognize another person as a sexy being, possibly, and you're inviting that fire into the conversation. Yes, so it's a lot about fire. It's a lot about celebration of life. It's a lot about unexpected turns and twists. And those turns can be done through the mind, and they can also be done through the body. Yeah, flirt, exactly. Flirting, like what else? Yeah, giggling, being silly, absolutely. Yeah. Keeping it light, keeping it celebratory. Yeah, through your voice, through everything. Peaceful, knowing, yeah, peaceful is like more angelic, feminine. And this one is, yeah, absolutely. Passion, celebrating, passionate, like questions, all of that. Excellent. So, yeah, I'm reading this, Katarina. Yeah, beautiful. Oh yeah, also when you come from the feminine, you need to be feeling your body and your real feelings, experiencing your real feelings. Again, not being sucked into another person's trip, not being sucked into their own hypnotic world, but being connected to what it is that you're feeling and honoring your feelings. Yeah, sensual as well. Again, so telling a story of finding lightness in different yeah. So yeah, you always have your body, you always have yourself, you always have your hair, you always have, and so feeling delicious in your body, feeling pleasure in being alive, feeling pleasure from your own breathing, your own voice, from environment, from breathing, that is all that celebration. Okay, great. So another component that we'll be looking at is communication from the place of high value. So what does that mean? High value, communicating from high value means that, first of all, you have options, all right? And that translates that you have options, you're not desperate. You are not extremely enthusiastic for no reason. So for example, many women just who came from overgiving patterning, very often when somebody says, okay, so it's good to see you and or it's good to meet you, and there is a tendency to overgive, for example, that comes from the past, and the woman might say, I'm so excited to see you, and that's a giveaway right away. So I'm so excited for no reason. He didn't give you a diamond ring yet, right? He didn't put any offer on the table. He didn't purchase a castle for you. Like, why are you excited? Right. So keeping it high value means that impress me handsome. Yeah, yeah. I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. I know that I have options. I'm sticking to my ideals. That's high value. I'm sticking to what's important for me. And you're not going to be like able to hoist me into any kind of process just by flattering me or just like, poking me or so high value is that. New love blueprint, exactly. Giving and receiving, of course, in equally. Also speaking your truth in the following way. I want to say this again. I feel like I never say this enough. When somebody, let's say, is talking about themselves and he's not asking you questions about you, which happens very often on a date. So women who have an avoidant tendency or some kind of defense mechanisms to protect themselves usually just sit there, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it. There's no intimate connection. The date sucked, he sucked all her energy. And then she goes home. It's like, I don't know, she didn't ask me any questions. Okay, so my question is always, did you tell him? Yeah. So something that you can communicate your needs. Oh yeah, this would be a good time to ask me a question. Yeah, I would really enjoy that. Something like that. Okay, easy, easy. Ask for what you want. See if he's trainable. See if he's coachable. All right. Then we also have this amazing thing, which is called the mirror test. So the mirror test goes like this. In the middle of a date, you go into the bathroom, you look at yourself in the mirror and you see what you look like. If you look better, radiant, that means you got energy. If you look like, a little abandoned girl, he took energy, and that's a good time to come out and either say what you want and give him another chance, or just go like, okay, I'm gonna go now. Not like I have to go, I am gonna go now. And once you say it one time in your life, I'm gonna go now, that's gonna give you power for the rest of your life. So instead of coming up with like excuses or fear to hurt another person, like if that person is in their egoism, we are not enabling that egoism. Everybody heard that, right? You're not there to enable his egoism. In fact, on the contrary, it's a service to show this person that, oh, you're in your egoistic state. Well, a woman of high value like me does not like that. I am the world and I'm reflecting this to you. All right, I'm going to go now. All right, instead of, oh my God, I have, something to take care of. All right, great. So another point that needs to happen is we need to find out certain things about this man. And in magnetic woman methodology, we have 3 non-negotiables that absolutely cannot be broken. All right. And other non-negotiables, you'll have your own. They'll be unique, but here are the fundamentals. All right. So number 1, fundamental. He has to have a purpose in life, and the purpose should be serving something bigger than himself. If he's only self-serving, he's not the guy for you. That means he's an egoistic asshole. He's not going to make you happy. So that's the first rule. How do we find out about that? Do you remember how we find out? We ask him what he would do with $5 million, you know, and we dig it to the end, right? Like, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? Yeah, I would do, you know, make more money. And then what would you do? And then, you know, and just get to that place of his real dream. What is it that he truly, really deeply wants? And at the end, that want, that deep desire of his has to be that he has to be on the hero's journey. If the guy is not inspired, if he's only inspired to get his own pleasure, this is a guy who eventually will be taking his pleasure away from you, who will be fighting with you for his own pleasure. It's not a good lover. It's not a good provider. It's not a king. A king is a man who cares for the country. All right. So that's number one, non-negotiable. He has to be able to show something for himself, what he has achieved. Potential is not enough after 40. Okay. So we're clear with that, because you can inspire and support a man in many ways. You cannot give him a purpose. You cannot. He has to have his own, drive his own purpose. Number two, he has to have a good heart. So this is something, yeah, there are certain things we can ask, and we can ask about his previous relationship, and we should always. We need to know what happened, why he's alone, why he's single, what's going on. And of course, it takes, you know, a lot of tact and gentleness to come into that conversation without, you know, feeling like you're in an interview. Like, instead of saying, so tell me about your ex-wife, right? So instead of that, what you can ask is something, so what have you learned about love in your life, right? And then when he starts talking about it, and he starts talking about some exes, you can ask this question, like with this special intonation, like, what happened? All right, what happened? With compassion. And then he's going to tell you what happened, and you're going to see if he's still blaming that woman that he had 3 children with, you know, and saying that she's crazy, while the reality is he chose that woman. Right? And why, and like, what did he learn from that, and all of that. So all of this stuff is going to start coming out. So that's now our number 2. Number 3 is he coachable? Is he coachable? So what that means is that, well, let's start with this. So first of all, magnetic woman, as a magnetic woman, we are moving away from feeling like we are at the mercy of environment, circumstances, world. We are moving away from victimhood mentality when we say, okay, there's not enough of this in the world. There is not enough justice. There is not enough men. Men are this is that. Like, we're moving away from all of that. And instead, we're coming to the place where we are taking absolute responsibility for the life that we're creating for ourselves. And of course, it's a miracle, and it's going to, you know, defeat all odds. Yes, it's going to be against the odds. All right. Yeah, that's why you're, you know, creating magic, because you're creating something that will be an outlier. You're creating a relationship that's going to be exceptional. You're creating a life that's going to be exceptional. You're taking responsibility for that life. You're taking responsibility also for training him to give you pleasure. That's your responsibility. Okay, I'm going to say it again. It's not his responsibility. He's not telepathic. Maybe you chose him wrong. Okay, fine. Next time you're going to make a better choice. All right, take responsibility. I'm going to make a good choice. I'm going to choose a good candidate. I'm going to check if he's coachable, and I'm going to train him, and I'm going to teach him how to treat me. But for that, beloveds, he has to be coachable. How do we find that out? Well, we express our need and see what happens, right? So especially if this is something that he's doing and you don't like it and you want him to be doing it in a different way, express your need and see what happens. And you're going to be surprised many, many times with that. Okay, some people are, you know, very rigid, not flexible, not generous enough in their heart, and so that will show up right away. Yeah, so you absolutely need someone who can listen to your needs and wants, and who wants to make you happy. So those are 3 non-negotiables within the first date conversation. You need to be finding that out as early as possible. Why? Because the name of the game is not to burn out, right? To really, truly just meet with people who are truly good candidates. And in fact, I'll tell you that this conversation that I just described can even happen on a video date before you put on your, makeup and clothing and took a ride somewhere to some place. So that will save you not just minutes, not just hours, years of your life.